Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another political episode. Red Eagle Politics just released a video, and I have to do my follow-up as usual. So, this should be no real shock to anyone that has followed the channel as long. We're kind of a copycat channel. I don't want to say we're a copyright channel, but we kind of do our own stuff when it comes to election reviews. But I do like to follow Red Eagle because he is a guy that I feel comfortable following. He has a big mass following, and he does have good points. And I like to follow him and kind of look and see, you know what's he saying? What's my take on this? Because I don't usually agree with. I have some different takes. I agree with him like maybe 80% of the time, but I have some different accommodations. But today we're going to talk about Ohio. I have not watched the Red Eagle video yet, so he's probably going to. I think I'm going to have probably the same takes, but he is absolutely correct about the fact that Sherrod Brown is probably not going to win, and I've called it already. Sherrod Brown is not going to win this election. Guys, Democrats had the ultimate opportunities to win elections in presidential races. In fact, I say presidential races, I should say presidential election years. In fact, let's go back all the way to the said 2020 elections, because Ohio had a couple elections in 2020, and because of Joe Biden and the Biden coattail, despite Trump winning, Democrats did win some court races. And this is what I'm basically coming out and saying here. Now, I'm not talking about the Supreme Court. That's kind of different. So I'm talking specifically about Ohio's seat. You got Jennifer Brunner defeated the incumbent Judith French in a pretty good victory here. You'll see. Look at all this blue. And you'll see, obviously, this county now is Republican stronghold, 60% Democrat. You got all these counties that have been Obama counties, not for sure, but they all backed the said Democrat, Jennifer Brunner, in the Supreme Court race. And this is quite interesting. And I would say, you know what? Yeah, Brunner performed very good because of this, because this was a presidential year. This was a presidential election year. Democrats were the favorites. Joe Biden and Democrats were the candidates of change, and Democrats were viewed as a better party than Republicans back in 2020. Okay? Now it's very different, okay? Now going to 2022, low propensity, right? Democrats are in power, and despite Roe v. Wade, which was pretty popular in Ohio, you had that abortion ballot measure that really, really, really did benefit the Ohio Democrats. Republicans swept the board. You'll see specifically in races like the Ohio gubernatorial race, Mike DeWine winning re-election handily by over 62%. You got the Ohio Senate race, J.D. Vance getting elected, beating Tim Ryan by over 5 percentage points. You got, of course, the Attorney General's race, 60% for Dave Yost. You got the Secretary of State, that is Frank LaRose. He ended up winning by almost 60%. You'll see, this is put Roe v. Wade into this, you could say, because Democrats all year long were touting, we gotta go out, we gotta win the midterms, reproductive rights, we gotta overturn, we gotta keep the Senate, we gotta flip the House. Actually, no, they had the House. We gotta keep the House, we gotta overturn Roe v. Wade, and they didn't even show up in Ohio, because Democrats are the low propensity voters. And Democrats want to make it sound like Democrats are going to come out and they're going to vote for Democrats in Ohio because of Trump. And I'm like, what? Dude, abortion is much more popular than Donald Trump for it as an issue, believe it or not. Okay, because we do know polling that over 60% of Americans believe that Roe v. Wade should be restored. Now, regardless of Trump, the country's equally divided. So for sure, this is 10 points better. Abortion's 10 points better of an issue than Trump. Okay, so for sure we know that Trump's not going to be a motivating issue, a motivating cause to get Democrats out and voting in Ohio. And when you have people like Sherrod Brown, who has had his years, okay? This guy was in politics for a very, very, very long time. This guy was in politics since the 80s, and he's making a political mistake. He had to have been bribed by Democrats to run. I'm just telling you. This guy is screwing himself over. He is not winning this seat. I am telling you straight up, because we could go over Sherrod Brown's electoral history. I mean, we don't do this for people that are alive. We usually do this for deceased politicians. You do our own video. But you know, Sherrod Brown, he's been in politics for a long time. He's run in election after election after election after election. He ran his first race, looking all the way down here, in 1982. 1982. The Democratic Party of 1982. What was the Democratic Party of 1982 like? We were just getting out of Jimmy Carter, right? We were just getting out of Jimmy Carter. And not to mention, the Democratic Party was somewhat more conservative, definitely more conservative than the Democratic Party of today, which is quite funny if you think that, okay, you got this politician, he is, let's just say, outdated. He is an outdated battery, or an outdated, outdated iPhone. He needs to update, and he will not update. But this is obviously, we're going to pull up his Secretary of State run, 1982. Yeah, this is Sherrod Brown's Secretary of State run. Obviously, he's very popular. Democrats will tout this election and say, look, he won 53% winning the countryside, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, and it's true. Sherrod Brown technically carried almost every county. He didn't carry every county, but he carried the countryside for sure. Majority of Ohio counties, probably 80% of the counties, at least. But yeah, she runs for re-election in 1986. Actually, no, he doesn't run for re-election. I believe he runs for the House. And what that's going to look like... Well, actually, never mind. He doesn't run for... What am I talking about? Secretary of State. 1986. Yeah, you'll see he performs. This is pretty much his best result here. 59%, beating Vincent P. Campanella. You got also him running for re-election from Secretary of State. He runs, I want to believe he doesn't run again. If I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, he's defeated by Bob Taft, who is Bob Taft is a legend in Ohio, I want to believe. Bob Taft. Yeah, he's a big, huge legend in Ohio, who is related to President Taft. He's a part of the legendary Taft family, which is known for their ultra-conservatism. But yes... I do want to believe this is a different Bob Taft, though. He's the son of Robert Taft Jr. But yes, he obviously won due to name recognition. He didn't win. Yeah, this is due to name recognition. That's why Sherrod Brown lost. And Sherrod Brown kind of knew that, and he knew his career wasn't over, and obviously it wasn't. He ran for Ohio's 13th district in 1992. He won. He gets reelected until 2007. 2007. Oh, wait, hang on. What happens in 2006? Oh, he gets elected to the Senate. Okay, then that brings us all the way to his Senate races. You'll see these are his Secretary of State runs. And yeah, you'll see this here. He wins relatively 56% against the future governor, Mike DeWine. 2012, he gets reelected, but it's actually more closer, 50% against Josh Mandel. I want to believe there are a couple third parties that really was preventing Brown from gaining, and you got his 2018 run, 53% to 46%. Whoa, wait, hang on, isn't this the midterms? Yes, this is the midterms. But back then, the 2018 propensity was much different in Ohio compared to now. Not to mention, Ohio was considered a swing state. I mean, considered a battleground state in 2020. Democrats were still leading in the registrations. Now, Republicans have dominated and continue to dominate in the registrations. So we do know that you can't go all the way to 2018 and say, 2018 says that Democrats can win. No, what happens in 2018? That's 8 years. Going to 2026, and when we enter next year in 2026, we can officially say, kiss it goodbye. 8 years ago doesn't matter. It's either what happens in the next 4 years, 2022, 2021, 2020, and that's all you got. Okay? What happens before 2020 is irrelevant. Different Democratic Party, different Republican Party, although it was under Trump. But most importantly, different electorate, different propensity. So yeah, you got Sherrod Brown, and so what? And he loses in a year that generally would have benefited him. You had the brat queens coming out to vote for Kamala Harris. You had general public coming out to vote for president. But the deal was the electorate just changed so much in Ohio that Sherrod Brown just straight up just lost. He lost by like 4 percentage points. Now, I will tell you right now that Sherrod Brown is probably going to lose even more, okay? Because this guy, if you can't already tell, he's lost his jazz. This guy's been prevalent in politics since 1982, okay? Look at the electoral history in the said offices and destinations. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and add 2026. He would have ran in 8 statewide elections. People are tired of seeing your name on the ballot. And running again in 2026 to embarrass yourself even more and possibly destroy your legacy is going to completely backfire. Brown is literally taking a pistol and shooting himself. I don't mean to be violent and vague and graphic and all that stuff, but I don't know how other way to say it. Come on. This guy's been prevalent in politics since the 80s. Come on. Like, seriously. And Democrats go and talk tough stuff. We got Sherrod Brown. What the heck? We know we are the high propensity vote in the state of Ohio, right? We are the high propensity vote. Democrats didn't show up in 2022. Ohio Democrats didn't care about reproductive rights in Ohio. They didn't care about what Governor Devine, who is pro-life, who's anti-abortion. They didn't want to punish him. In fact, they voted for him, 63%. Or did they? They just stayed home. They're the low propensity vote. So if they're going to stay home for Roe v. Wade, then it's very, very, very likely that Sherrod Brown's going to lose. And he's not just going to lose, he's going to lose even more, much more than he did in 24. And you have polls coming out to prove it. Like, let's go and compare these polls, 2026 polls, to 2024 polls, okay? All right. Looking first off, going to the 2026 Senate race, we do know, and I've covered it before, that Sherrod Brown, as we kind of knew, he was a political juggernaut. You had sources coming saying he was going to be leaning Democrat. Oh, yes, Sherrod Brown dominated in the polls in the beginning. Part of it was the summer response bias, as Mr. Red Eagle Politics likes to call. But yes, you just basically had Brown winning due to name recognition. But now we've got this Bernie Moreno guy in the nomination. And here's the funny thing. Sherrod Brown, such a stupid coward. He doesn't even debate Bernie Moreno. What a dummy. He doesn't even debate Bernie Moreno. And that was probably what backfired the most. Because this is a competitive Senate seat, and he goes, I don't need to debate you. And that hurted Brown. you usually get a Senate debate in a couple of Senate debates, and you didn't get one for Bernie Moreno and Brown, and that just totally backfired in Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown thought that denying Bernie Moreno a debate to project or in his mind project would help Sherrod Brown. No, it hurt Sherrod Brown. Why did it hurt Sherrod Brown? Because Sherrod Brown's assuming that he's going to win. Sherrod Brown thought, you see, Kamala Harris never even won a poll in 2024, and here's the funny thing. I want to believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sherrod Brown purposely tried to distance himself from Harris because he knows he's unpopular in the state of Ohio. Yeah, you'll see Harris never even won a single poll. In fact, you got some polls that suggest that Trump would win. Yeah, 54% is pretty much the best showing poll for Republicans. And Trump got 55% in the state of Ohio. So it's a red state now. And pretty much to the same degree as Florida. And because it's a super red state now, compared to like 4 years ago in registration, it did not help. People need to see, they want to see Sherrod Brown debate. They want to see the Sherrod Brown they all know and love. Sherrod Brown thinks, they remember me. Well, then again, we can look up previous debates of Sherrod Brown. But obviously, it's on the web and all that stuff. But people want to see you debate. And they go and they see this new guy, Bernie Moreno, and he's a businessman, all that stuff. Sherrod Brown hurt himself. And I think, obviously, the voters saw this as a very, very cowardice move by Sherrod Brown. Like, oh my goodness, you must be scared. He knew that Bernie Moreno would win, and that's what he did. Bernie Moreno said, you know what? Sherrod Brown's scared. Sherrod Brown knows we're going to win. Sherrod Brown doesn't want to give me these moments where he can't even defend his own record. So they saw Sherrod Brown as a coward. So that's quite literally what you've got. So that's what voters assumed. But I'm looking at the said race in the polls. It's not looking good for Brown at all because, let's see. Beginning of the polls, Brown was leading in 2024. Let's see the first three polls. Look at this. John Husted, who would be he was appointed to the Senate seat by Governor Devine, former lieutenant governor. It looks like he's going to get reelected. It looks like he's going to get his second term or a full term, if you want to say it. Because, man, oh man, the polls say nothing. You also got the Cook Political Report, a biased Democrat network. You know it's bad when the Cook Political Report is saying that Husted will win re-election by over 5 points. You know it's bad. And it's become quite obvious. But interestingly enough, what would a victory for Brown look like? Now, I do think that, I would say not victory for Brown. What am I saying? John Husted versus Sherrod Brown. And that's the other thing. A lot of people don't know that John Husted even ran for lieutenant governor in a statewide race before. He did a good relative performance. He is pretty popular. He's a popular new Republican. He's trending. Sherrod Brown's not, because Sherrod Brown had his days long time ago. Okay? He had his days long time ago. So yeah, he ran for Secretary of State, just like Brown did. Okay, these are the current delegations. Looks like, you got some offices here. Yeah, 54%. He's doing relatively well in, like, Cincinnati. This is 2010, so you can't necessarily go around counting these results and all. But yeah, I mean, 2014, relatively very good. He's relatively very popular. And of course, he was the nominee for lieutenant governor under DeWine. And I think it's going to be really nothing real different. I do think that it's going to probably be the same as the last result, being 2022. Whoops. Let's get back to that. 2022, yes, J.D. Vance's seat. It's going to probably look like this. Because then again, we look at these counties like this one right here. Yeah, it seems relatively Republican. It could back Husted. In fact, maybe I will give it to Husted because it's unlikely. I find it to be skeptical that this county would vote. It would be like the same result in the last four times. It's just my opinion, but I do think it might probably look like the presidential election, and just because I do think it's kind of going to be very coincidental, it's going to be really this county that's going to decide the race. But I do think that this is probably the map that you're probably going to walk away with at the end of the night. Seeing that this county right here has become very Republican, voted for Trump twice in a row, 2020 and 2024. Basically the same results. Although those same results were somewhat kind of different, were the same relatively. But I think the registration is proof that there would be some sort of change. But yes, these are the previous election results. I find it very coincidental, and I think it's very unlikely it's going to look the same margin, same colors as the 2022 race, which of course this time around will be a special election. This seat really isn't supposed to be set and put into stone. And this time around, it would be in 2028 where Husted would be elected again for the second time. But yeah, you'll get your 2026 election. See how that goes. But anyway, what do you guys think in regards to this video? Let me know down below, and as always, I'll see you all in the next political episode.